because you got kicked out, eh?
No, I got unjustly kicked out for complaining about clergy abuse, and the Unitarians actually deserve this protest. I really hope they'll finally one day pull their head out of their ass. Oh, there I'm being rude again, and do something to address the injustices, abuses, and hypocrisy that I'm protesting against. So yeah, we got a bunch of old people showing up at the church. I don't know if they're Unitarians or not. I'm assuming they most probably are, but I suppose they could be something else. But yeah, it's like Unitarians, oh, please protest somewhere else. Well, excuse me, I'm protesting you guys. But, you know, since you asked, you know, maybe I'll go to SPVM PDQ 11 later today and protest outside the SPVM police station in NDG, because unfortunately the SPVM is a major part of the problem. I'm even considering protesting at the Palais de Justice in Montreal, protesting against how Quebec Crown prosecutors are bamboozled into helping Unitarian Universalists shut down my protest in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal. Crown prosecutors, quite frankly, if they did their job properly, never would have charged me with criminal harassment. If they had examined the evidence properly, they would have realized that there was like almost no chance of obtaining a conviction. And here's the interesting thing. Since we're talking about Crown prosecutors, this is something I've learned about Crown prosecutors, perhaps especially Quebec ones. Sometimes they know perfectly well that they cannot obtain a conviction on the charge, you know, that may or may not be brought against the person. You know, they have to evaluate the police evidence and decide whether or not it's worth bringing charges against the alleged criminal. So what I'm saying here is that in certain cases, Crown prosecutors, on reviewing the evidence, know perfectly well that the chances of getting conviction are zero or almost zero. In other words, it's really not worth proceeding with bringing charges against the person. But they do it anyway. And the reason they do it anyway is abuse of process. And the whole idea is to keep court conditions imposed on the person who is accused of a crime. And the conditions are essentially a form of punishment itself. And they also hope, I think, that the person may break conditions, either inadvertently or knowingly and willfully, and then they can get them for breach of conditions. But they know perfectly well that the underlying allegations is essentially false, essentially not possible to obtain a conviction, but they nonetheless charge the person. They nonetheless bring charges against the person, basically to control them through court conditions. You know, it can take months, even years before something goes to trial. They can even just drop the charges later. But the whole idea, as I'm saying, and it is an abusive process, and I do believe chances are pretty good that that's exactly what happened in this case, and is still happening, by the way, because I'm still under conditions. So that's what I'm saying is Quebec Crown prosecutors are a big part of the problem, because they do this kind of thing. They bring charges against people knowing perfectly well that the chances of obtaining a conviction are either zero or so close to zero that they really should not proceed, because it's just a total waste of time for the court. But they do it, as I said, to keep the alleged criminal under court conditions, and the conditions themselves are a form of control and even punishment. I have not been able to protest outside the Unitarian Church of Montreal for months now. I have not been able to go to Montreal City Council meetings for months now as a result of the court conditions that were placed upon me as a result of a bullshit criminal harassment charge that was brought against me by Quebec Crown prosecutors. It was first brought against me. The difference between the police and the prosecutors is that the police make the accusation and the reports and this and that and present the evidence, blah, blah, blah. But it is the Crown prosecutors who decide whether or not to actually bring charges and to proceed on those charges. So I was arrested on the basis of what I consider to be, at best, incompetence on the part of SPVM Sergeant Detective Da Silva, Veronique Da Silva, I think is her name. And I think at minimum, she was incompetent. For instance, she never asked me one single question. She could have questioned me, but she did no such thing. I even made it very, very clear to her that I wanted to talk to her after I was arrested on December 11th of 2017 while I was incarcerated, shall we say, in a cell. I made it very, very clear to Detective Da Silva that I wanted to talk to her. I wanted to explain things to her. And I believed that if I had been able to explain everything to her, that she would realize that there was no point taking things further. Good day, sir.
How are you this morning?
Acquitted, that's how I am. Acquitted of bullshit criminal harassment charges that Sue Montgomery brought against me in an effort to shut down my protest against clergy abuse outside the Unitarian Church of Montreal.
I read the article of it.
I'm sure you did. There's a few of them. And please keep in mind that those articles, a lot of them are biased in Sue's favor because all the journalists are her friends and colleagues and cronies. But nonetheless, some of them are reasonably fair and balanced.
It's amazing how much other people know. Do you ever think about that? It's amazing how much we know.
Well, then maybe you should do something about what you know. It's amazing what we know. Yeah, well, guess what? You know, this guy knows, he's known for months now, if not years, about various Unitarian Universalist injustices, abuse, and hypocrisy, and he's done nothing about them. He's done nothing about them. And the same can be said for pretty well everyone else at the Lakeshore Unitarian Universalist congregation, which is one of the reasons I'm protesting here. You know, they're just as complicit in all of the injustices and abuses and hypocrisy that they know of, and have known of in some cases for years, if not decades. They know all kinds of stuff in terms of injustices and abuses within the church. Clergy abuse, cover-up and denial of clergy abuse, assaults on me by Montreal Unitarians that have video evidence of. I've never heard one single Unitarian Universalist ever speak out and condemn the physical assaults on me by David Horn and Margot Ellis and some other Unitarians. I've never heard one single. What?
I like your new signs.
They're actually very old signs.
I like these ones.
Unsafe Sect has been around since 1999.
I like these.
Thank you.
This is a good one. Who's Sue Montgomery?
She's a Montreal Unitarian clergy abuse cover-up enabler, former Gazette Justice reporter, and currently the mayor of Côte-de-Neige, Notre-Dame-de-Grâce.
That's who she is.
She was also the deputy mayor of Valerie Plante when she falsely accused me of criminal harassment.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I heard
yeah,
in the
yeah,
news.
yeah, yeah,
You were
yeah.
in the news and I said,
That's right.
who is that? That's not the minister downtown.
No, that's yeah. She's a member of the church. She's been helping the church cover up clergy abuse for at least a decade or so,
So
more than a
that's who she
decade.
is. Well, thank you for clarifying
yeah.
that because I couldn't figure out how she's fell into the mix. And I like the new signs.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, have a
I
good
hope
day.
you'll actually do something. Oh wait, you're just a musician, or
Yeah, just-
you're not a member of the church? Okay,
I'm just-
I hear you. So it's not really your problem in a sense.
Lowly life, guy.
Right. No worries. Thanks for your encouragement. Oh, I'm enjoying it. I love the day. So that's one of the musicians. So I can't really accuse him of complicity. Certainly not in terms of being a Unitarian Universalist who's complicit. And he's actually giving me a certain amount of moral support. So, you know, asking some questions. You know, here's the thing. He actually like, who's Sue Montgomery? He's like asking me, who is this person? Because he didn't know. So he wanted to have that, you know, clarified to him, and I clarified it. The point being is he actually asked me a question. He wanted more information. He wanted to know what the truth is. The fourth principle of Unitarian Universalism calls for a free and responsible search for truth and also meaning. But yeah, one more time, a free and responsible, note the key word there, responsible search for truth and meaning. That is the fourth principle of Unitarian Universalism. And here's the interesting thing that this little incident brings up. This is a non-Unitarian Universalist who's nonetheless engaging for a free and responsible search for the truth. Guess how many Unitarians. I'm protesting. I can scream if I want. I can scream and yell and shout. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Unitarian Universalist clergy views cover up and denial has to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Unitarian Universalist misuse of blasphemy law to cover up and deny pedophilia and rape has to go. See, that's called a peaceful public protest. Yeah, it's not a peaceful public protest when I'm yelling. Are you stupid? Unitarian Universalists yell all the time at peaceful public protests. They use megaphones. Just had to do that because she actually had the gall to say it's not peaceful public protest when you're yelling. What an idiot. But this is a typical Unitarian. Oh, it's not peaceful public protest if you're yelling. What a total crock of bullshit. I was at a protest yesterday where they were very, very loudly yelling through megaphones. They had a PA system. It's a peaceful public protest. According to this Unitarian, oh look, just saw a lovely red orange bird. I think it's a cardinal, might be yeah, I think it's a cardinal. That's kind of nice. Anyway, getting back to things. See, I do get a little distracted. When I see a nice bird or something, you know, I might comment on that. But getting back to things. This is a typical attitude of Unitarian Universalists. This woman literally said, it is not a peaceful public protest when you're yelling. Well, guess what? I have seen SPVM police officers, hundreds of them, maybe even thousands of them, making lots and lots and lots of noise and yelling through megaphones outside SPVM headquarters and on other occasions when they were on strike. You know, totally ludicrous thing. And yet this is their oh, you can't protest against us, we're so nice. Oh, what a crock of bullshit. I'm sorry, but things are actually getting interesting here. You know, this pretty boring monologue standing in front of the camera for quite a while because hardly anyone was showing up. For some reason, they're showing up late today. They must have changed the schedule or something because normally I think it would have started around 10:30, but I don't know what time it is. Let's check. Let's see what my timepiece says. Oh, 10:30. Oh, that's interesting. I guess they don't show up until 10